It's me, it's Queen Said Her Real, and welcome to another exciting edition of Ask An Aquarius. So if you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. So I got a message from a woman named Michelle, and Michelle said that she's into a Aquarius, but he's dark. He got some issues. When I talk about dark Aquarius, I'm going to do a video on dark versus light Aquarius if I haven't already. I think I might have talked about it before. But basically, dark Aquarius are negative. Negative energy, lying, treachery, that kind of thing. Different areas of the spectrum. They can be really bad, really horrible to not that bad. So he is a dark Aquarius who's done, treacherous things in a low vibration, negativity, that kind of stuff. And she said that he wants to and is trying to do better, but he's going to a therapist who's not apparently very good, and he's not making any progress at all, and the therapist really isn't helping him. The therapist is just trying to put him on medicine, which is what happens with a lot of therapists. So she's asking me, what can she do to help him? She's bought some books, that I've recommended, and she's not really sure, how he's going to respond. Is he going to feel like, he's wrong, or is he going to feel like, bad, angry with her, whatever the case is? And how do you tell somebody their therapist is trash, and that they need to see somebody else? So but she asked me to give her my opinion about it. And honestly, I know that people are very sensitive about this topic, but I would tell him. I would tell him straight up. I mean, I know that, people sometimes are real, sensitive about their feelings and stuff like that. But I would tell him because he's wasting his time. And like you said, he could be in a much better space. I wouldn't lay it all on him at once. I wouldn't just be like, oh, your therapist is trash and here goes some books you need to read. I would just slowly but surely broach the topic. First of all, you said you have books. I would pick one that could help him the most, whichever one you think can help him with his healing process the most. And I would give it to him as a gift. I mean, you might even offer, I've done things with my friends where we've had like group book clubs. And I'm like, okay, well, let's read this book, and every Sunday let's talk about it. I've done things like that in many real time with many of my friends, So that's another good way is just, using what you already have, using one of your books to be the door to open up that particular conversation. But I would tell him, I would be honest with him. I would wait until the conversation came up. We were talking about healing or talking about therapy or talking about growing, or if it came up on TV, or I would wait until it naturally came up. And I would say, I have this book. I was watching this video, and this woman recommended this book, and I really think it could help. I really think it could help you. And I think it, I got a lot out of it myself. And I was wondering, if you wanted to read it together. Something as simple as that, or giving it to them as a present or something like that, But I would definitely tell them. I wouldn't tell them all at once. I would tell them in pieces. First, I would give them the book, and then when they started to read the book, I would say something else. I would eventually hit on the fact that, maybe you're to try a different therapist. I might even go as far as to, if I know a therapist, for example, I might say, hey, I know this really great therapist. Here's her card. I would just go ahead and make the recommendation. Everybody's not going to take it well. No, they're not. But I would do it anyway because he said you're in his inner circle, which is pretty big for an Aquarius. And if an Aquarius tells you that you're in their inner circle, that means they're willing to listen to your ideas. Remember I told you before, I'm really not that big on opinions. I really don't care about people's opinions, really. But if they're people I care about, I'll listen to their opinions. So, in his particular case, even if he thinks he's on the right path, which you and I already know that he's not, maybe he'll listen to your opinion because you are on the inner circle. But either way, I would go ahead and shoot my shot. I would use the book as the opening, and over a course of maybe a month, I would have said everything I wanted to say. By the end of that month, he would know everything I wanted him to know. And just because you tell him and give him the books, or maybe if I have a video, that's another way you could do it. If one of my videos touches on something that he needs to hear, give him the video, and be like, hey, look what I saw, look what I saw. Check this out, that kind of thing, food for thought kind of thing, And then when he starts to respond or say what he thinks about it, then you get into the conversation that way. That's a great way for it to naturally come up. But I would, over the course of 30 days, tell him all that you said about how you are seeing what's happening with him. Because the bottom line is that he's not seeing a good therapist, or he's not connecting with his therapist. Sometimes the therapist is actually a good one, but the two people just aren't connecting. It's not working. The treatment isn't working. It's just like a doctor. Sometimes you need a second opinion. You know, some doctors you do well with and some doctors you just don't. So it's the same kind of thing. He needs to see someone else. And that's why I mentioned to you before, if you know someone he can see, or if you can research him and give him some ideas, some suggestions, that will be helpful as well. Because 9 times out of 10, if you tell him his therapist is trash, the first thing he's going to think of, if he's willing to accept it, is where do I go next? You know, and that's where you come in. Oh, by the way, my cousin Ray Ray said that she saw this woman and here's her card, you know. So that's where you come in. You know, you have another alternative, another suggestion for him when he comes forward. That will greatly help him. And then the rest of the work is his. He has to read the books. He has to do the work. You know, just saying I want to be better isn't enough. The actions, the behaviors to get better is what you need to say. So yeah, I would make the statement to him, and I would make it slowly and I would make it carefully, but I would make it. And by the end of those 30 days, he should know exactly what it is you wanted to say. And if you want to give him the books, if you have more than one book, give him to him one at a time. As he finishes one book, then give him the next one. And the book club idea is really good because the two of you can talk about the book and you can go through it together. You know, it's really good to have a partner when you're doing these kind of therapeutic type things. So it's really great with your best friend or with your boyfriend or with your girlfriend, whatever the case is. It's really great to do these kind of self-help books like the Heal Yourself workbook. That's great to do with another person and then talk about what you're experiencing. Louise Hay's books, I've talked to you guys about them before. Of course, I'll link them underneath this video. Those are great to do together. Iyanla Vanzant's books are great to do together or in a group, you know. So really consider that kind of energy because that's something that'll really help him, having somebody to go on the journey, at least those parts with him. But he has to do this by himself. And if he's a dark Aquarius, don't get too close to him. You need to protect your heart because if he's a dark Aquarius, that means he's still up to treachery. So if you're going to be friends with him, if you're going to help him, if you're going to work through this with him, you're going to have to keep that in the forefront of your mind at all times, that you're dealing with an unhealed person. And an unhealed person, especially a dark Aquarius, can be very treacherous. So you have to be very careful as you're treading these waters, because you could put yourself open for victimization. You know, if it was me, I wouldn't be but so close. I definitely wouldn't be intimate with this person. I would, you know, I would be friendly. I'd be talking. I would do the books with him. He might see me once a week, twice a week, something like that. I wouldn't be all up in that because a dark Aquarius, number one, you need space to come away from that energy. Really need a process with that. And number two, while you're still dark, you're still prone to treachery. You're still prone to doing shit, really. So I would be very careful with that, Michelle. Very careful. But like I said, I definitely would give the information. And if he gets angry with you or he's mad at you at the end of that 30 days, or if he shuts off in the conversation or something like that, that's your indication that he's really not ready to do what he says he's trying to do. Because just because he told you he wants to change doesn't mean he really means it. I wanted to change for a long time, but I wasn't willing to put the effort into it. When my friend first gave me Iyanla Vanzant's first book, I didn't read it. I had it for months. So sometimes a person is not quite ready. So if you get a lot of opposition from him, that means he's just not ready. And just drop what you dropped and back off. You know, if you get any kind of anger, frustration, negativity, drop what you drop and just back off. You know, but if he's receiving it positively, keep going and get all of it out, like I said, over the course of that month. But if you make that first statement and he come off with negativity, stop right there and just wait. You giving him the book, you said what you said, you've done what you've done, and just wait. Because there's a good possibility that he'll pick it up on his own, and maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months later, I'll be like, hey, I read that book you gave me. You know? So think about those points, and follow your intuition along with what I said, and really think about it. Because one of the things about Aquarius is that if you slow walk with us, a lot of times you'll get better results than if you pounce. That's one thing I always say about Aquarius. You always got to slow walk us. So if you guys like this video, please hit the like button and pass it on. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.